Mark MacDonald, followed by Fulton McGregor.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, and I congratulate Richard Lyle on securing this debate in Parliament. Say at the outset, this is an issue that has long been of interest to me. My late grandmother had dementia up until her passing in 2011, and my mother cared for her for a large part of that time. So I've seen firsthand the work that has to go into supporting an individual who has dementia and latterly advanced dementia, which I think most people would have accepted was the case with my grandmother. And I think the report from Alzheimer Scotland is timely and necessary. I think that it calls rightly for a definition in relation to advanced dementia. If we accept that dementia is a progressive, or some would say a regressive condition which advances through its course, then there will come a point at which the healthcare needs of that individual are going to become more complicated and require different interventions. And that, I think, requires a definition to be in place in order to support the health and social care services that wrap around that individual to be able to identify the point at which that care needs to be provided. One of the difficulties and challenges that it's been faced, and I think is recognised by Alzheimer Scotland, is the lack of work that has been done up until now around research around advanced dementia. For example, a Cochrane review in 2016, which was set up to assess the effect of palliative care interventions in advanced dementia and report on the range of outcome measures used, could find only 2 studies to include in the review, both from the United States of America, totaling 189 people. While the report did note that there were 6 further studies ongoing at the time of the review, it did state that there was insufficient evidence to be able to assess the effect of palliative care interventions in advanced dementia. So the need to collect appropriate evidence in order to ensure that the data is there to inform decision making and inform the kind of care that is taken forward is out there. One of the other things that it's worth noting about dementia as well is that unlike any of the other diseases in the top 10 causes of death in the UK, there is no recognised cure nor recognised an official treatment provided in relation to slowing progression. It's, if you detect dementia early, it's not a sign that you're going to be able to cure from it or remove dementia. It will be there and it will advance throughout the rest of that individual's life. The point around consistency and around charging, I think, is one that merits consideration. There's always a tension that arises between the need to respect the ability of local authorities and local decision makers to set decisions according to their local priorities, versus the need for us to ensure that people in neighbouring local authorities are not being treated wildly differently. And that's a tension that we always have to face. However, I think that while we possibly couldn't move to a necessarily uniform model, given the variations that would exist between rural and urban communities, I think parameters need to perhaps be set in order to ensure that people have an understanding of what they're likely to face when it comes to charges. But consistency, I think, applies in other ways as well. I remember back in 2012 raising the concerns of my constituent Jeanette Maitland, whose late husband had been seen by 106 different carers in the space of a year as part of his social care package. And that has an extraordinary impact on an individual with dementia who often requires and indeed thrives on the basis of familiarity and the basis of an understanding that exists between them and the individual who's providing their care. To have that level of turnover of carer and that inconsistency in relation to the approach of carers can only be harmful to that individual. So when we talk about consistency, charging is absolutely important, but there are other areas of consistency that I think merit consideration as well.